So before we press the record button, Arm Layton said he's excited to hear my recap on Yankees versus Guardians. I'm not really sure why, because we have to talk about Dodgers beating the Mets 10-2, and we'll talk about.
We'll spend like
Guardians.
50 minutes on that, 10 minutes on Yankees Guardians, you think?
Yeah, we'll kind of just gloss through it if that's okay with everybody. There wasn't really much to see. There was a couple of home runs here or there, but yeah, whatever. This podcast is brought to us by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks, and they got something new for the postseason. BetMGM sportsbook account holders who opt into the bullpen jackpot promotion and place a straight bet of at least $10 on their choice of any MLB player to hit a home run will win a share of a daily $50,000 BetMGM bullpen jackpot. If the player they wagered on hits a home run that lands in an MLB team bullpen, prizing will be paid out in bonus bets that expire in 7 days. The offer will be available every day throughout the postseason, and customers will need to place a $10 or more wager on any MLB player to hit a home run. If the player hits a home run, lands in a bullpen, they win a share of a $50,000 daily prize. Make sure to use code JUSTBASEBALL for that first bet offer up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your wager loses. To get started, gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 or older. Terms and conditions apply. I'm not stalling at all. I
also want to say I'm stressed. I'll stall for you a little bit.
Thank you.
I can verify that is a legit offer from our friends at BetMGM because I hit it. So I don't know what to do with the bonus bets. So I think it came out to like 70 something people placing it. So it came out to like 600 and change in bonus bets, which is amazing because I would never wager that much on anything. So now I have to wager that much on something. Of course, it's found money, but for me, I'm like, man, if that hits, like, there we go. I can pay down my credit card. So I'm trying to figure out what the best thing to put it down on is. You suggested Yoshinobu Yamamoto over strikeouts, which I took with a normal single unit bet, which is a fraction of that. So now I'm just terrified trying to figure out what in the world to put that single bonus. But you can't break it up. It's got to go on one thing where I'm going to put that bonus bet on. So I'm trying to figure that one out, but it's a really fun promo because you'd be surprised. A lot of home runs end up going to the bullpen. Stanton did it not long after as well. And there was a couple home runs today that were pretty close. So I was joking about it before, like, man, how often do these home runs actually end up going in the bullpen? I don't know if it's the stadiums that we have going right now or whatever it may be, but there's been a lot that have been in the bullpen or pretty close. And I can't really figure out what in the world to put the bonus bet on. So I've just been stressed about it.
You could put it on the Guardians to win the World Series. That seems free. I want to stall a little bit more. How's the Arizona Fall League?
Awesome. It's been a lot of fun. The weather's getting better here, and so it's a little less hot. But I mean, so many good players out here. I mean, the amount of offensive talent is really special. And got to see some of my favorites already. Zaire Hope, dude, the Dodgers. Like, this guy's going to be a monster. And I now just being able to see him in person, he hit a home run 470 feet. Then he hit another one 450 feet, 111 off the bat. He's 19 years old. The Dodgers got him in the Michael Busch trade. They got him and Jackson Ferris. Don't trade lower level prospects with the Dodgers. If they zero in on somebody, I mean, you got to be careful. Zaire Hope's going to be a monster. I think in our update, from everything I've seen here, top 30 prospect in baseball. I mean, it's that good.
I guess I have no other questions to stall. So
yeah, let's hear about this Yankees Guardians game.
Is it time to round up?
It's the most depressed roundup you've given me, but let's do it.
Guardians Yankees roundup. We'll start in the top of the second when it was kind of fun. Anthony Volpe walks. Alex Verdugo smacks a ground ball that hops over Josh Naylor, and he is in safely with a double. Jose Trevino singles to drive in a run. Shout out Trevino. 1-0 Yankees. That was his first AB of the postseason. Damn it, Trevino gets picked off. Then Gleyber Torres lines out. I didn't punch my TV. I didn't. But I got up to do so. Arm, if they get picked off one more time, I'm going to lose my mind. What is Trevino doing? What is he doing?
Where's he going?
You should steal. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm with you. The base running blunders, like right now, they've been in control of this series. Obviously, now it can get close very quickly now that it's 2-1. But I mean, these are the things. If the Yankees do advance, like against a Dodgers team, presumably, or the Mets. But if it's against the Dodgers, like those are the little things that can cost you a World Series. So I know I don't want to get there yet. Like the Yankees still have to get there, but that could also be a way that you let a Guardians team back into the series. You can't give away outs on the base paths, and the Yankees keep doing it.
I like how Sterling phrased it. It's like they're a bunch of drunks. They do. They run the bases drunk. I even tweeted out a graphic. That classic meme where it's like, I'm joining the war on drugs. And then under it's on the side of drugs. They look like a bunch of buffoons out there running the bases. But I already hate this recap. We've done the top of the second, and I'm already pissed off. You want to go to the bottom of the third? Fine.
Yeah, I think something happened there.
Brian Rocchio singles to start it. That dude's actually been on fire. I'm pissed, but that dude's been on fire. John Birdie maybe could have caught it, but it deflected off his glove. Great job. Kyle Manzardo launched one to right field, giving the Guardians a 2-1 lead, the first lead for them this series, and the first time that the Yankees have trailed since Game 2 of the ALDS. I wrote that down, and I had full faith we were coming back, and I was ready to write, and it's going to be their last lead of the entire series. Didn't exactly happen. Clark Schmidt exits, as does Matt Boyd. Clark Schmidt goes 4 2/3, 5 hits, 2 earned, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. Matthew Boyd, 5 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned, 3 walks, 4 Ks. I did say on yesterday's podcast, I thought this would be the game that the Yankees do drop. I didn't think it would happen in this fashion, but I was afraid because I thought Boyd would really give us the business. He has been so nasty.
He was a different pitcher.
Stephen Vogt hasn't really given him a ton of run in this postseason, but in the innings that he throws, he's routinely striking out everybody. That sweeper, whatever that big old breaking ball that he throws is disgusting. He's commanding the baseball. Really excellent outing from Boyd. Clark Schmidt was fine, right? I thought he was okay. Gave the Yankees a chance to win. I think that's all you can ask from your 3-starter in the playoffs, but he was okay. He wasn't great. He wasn't bad. He was fine. You want me to keep going? You got any takeaways on those guys? Or we can just do that all again?
Boyd's been a game changer. I mean, we kept talking about like who's going to get the ball outside of like Tanner Bybee that you really trust. And I mean, I trust Matt Boyd now. And it's the 2-inning spurt where he punched everybody out. Like, I think that bought him more innings this time around. And you talked about the short leash. This was a longer leash, 5 innings for Matthew Boyd. Like that's a longer leash than almost anybody's had in the postseason. So he goes 5 innings, a 1-run ball. Like if the Guardians stay in this thing long enough, like that's a guy that I trust to go again. I mean, he looks like he's got something now.
Stephen Vogt he's been so trigger happy that I thought after the Yankees scored the second, they were just going to take him out. Like, okay, you didn't throw a no-hitter, so you're done. But they didn't. And
it became still, I mean, we still saw a ton of pitchers on both sides, but the fact that Boyd could go 5 for them, I think really did open up a lot of opportunity for Vogt to be even more trigger happy with the bullpen and not have to go multi-innings with some of the relievers. And everybody only threw 1 inning or less out of the pen.
So we go to the bottom of the 6th. Lane Thomas walks. Then Lane Thomas moves to second on a John Birdie dropped grounder. I would say, why isn't Anthony Rizzo at first? But it's not like Anthony Rizzo helped us out on defense either. Barely got him at first, and then Lane Thomas steals third. Andres Jimenez singles up the middle with the infield drawn in, 3-1 Guardians, and unfortunately Ian Hamilton leaves the game with left calf tightness. I tried to find more updates about it. That's all I got. Hope he's okay. Left calf tightness. Losing a reliever like that is definitely not ideal. We go to the top of the 8th. This was fun for a second. With 2 outs, Juan Soto walks against Hunter Gaddis. And then Emmanuel Clase comes in, his first appearance against the Yankees. And Aaron freaking Judge takes a 99-mile-an-hour cutter on the black. It was a good pitch. 110 miles an hour the opposite way for a game-tying home run. And I shrieked like a toddler, like a little girl for her 5th birthday party. And then Giancarlo Stanton walks up to the plate, gives the Yankees a lead by taking a hanging slider from Clase, very similar to the pitch that Kerry Carpenter hit out, 107 miles an hour to center field. Clase has now allowed 6 postseason earned runs. He's allowed 5 earned runs during the regular season. Isn't playoff baseball just the worst and the best? And that's why it's the ultimate.
I mean, it felt like, okay, no way Class A is going to hang a couple more this time out, right? Like we saw the human side once and we saw it again. I do want to say, like you mentioned, great swing by Judge, and it was, but also like Clase was ahead in both of these counts, right? And like he was in a spot where he could have made a better pitch, right? Try to get them to chase, because these are some of the best hitters in the sport and the best hitter in the sport this year in Aaron Judge. And, Giancarlo Stanton in the playoffs looks a lot more like, the younger Stanton that we had seen kind of take the league by storm as well. So you can't afford to miss your spots there. And even if it was, not a bad pitch, you're way ahead. So it's been surprising to see Clase kind of struggle. And I know he's not really a strikeout artist. I know he's more of a guy that's going to get a lot of weak contact and get ahead. But I mean, you got a 2-run lead there. It's a 1-2 count. And I was surprised that Clase didn't, put something a little bit further out of the zone. And then with Stanton, it just was another instance of kind of hanging it, like you mentioned, similar to Kerry Carpenter. But you got to give the Yankees credit there. And that's got to feel so good for Aaron Judge. I know they don't win the ball game, but that's got to feel so good for him. And it's got to at least give you a silver lining going into the rest of the series here, where it's like, okay, maybe this gets him going, right? Not only was he struggling, but to get this big swing off of the best reliever in the game in that spot, you could just see the relief from him. And then Stanton just continues to be Giancarlo Stanton in the playoffs, which is just so fun for me to see. And I'm always pumped for him to see him do those kind of things. But at that point, I thought it was over.
Me too, but it wasn't. Top of the 9th. Anthony Volpe walks. Alex Verdugo reaches. Andres Gimenez tries to get Volpe at third, had him, but Jose Ramirez drops the ball on a rundown. Both guys advance, second and third with no outs. Gleyber Torres sac fly, scores a run, 5-3. I'm thinking to myself, perfect. We got the insurance run. We're fine. But then we go to the bottom of the 9th. Jose Ramirez reaches on an error from Anthony Rizzo, like we talked about earlier. Josh Naylor then grounds into a double play. We got 2 outs. 2. One more, right? Lane Thomas almost goes yard, hits a double off the top of that left field, left center wall. And then Big Christmas. Left a present under the tree. Brian Anderson was pissing me off because his calls were way too good. And that was
one of the best calls. He nailed that.
They just stabbed me in the heart. Like, why did it have to be so poetic? Did he have to do the best call back-to-back times?
Yep.
No, we didn't.
It was amazing. He's the best in the business right now, right?
It was incredible. I mean, I still like Joe Buck will always be.
Oh yeah.
My excuse me. He will always be my guy, but Brian Anderson has filled those shoes. He's fantastic.
That was a few stats to make you feel better. That was the first home run that Luke Weaver has given up on his changeup to a righty all year.
Yeah, you want me to go into that deeper? Excuse me. I don't know why I keep coughing. Probably just because everything's stuck in my throat. Jackenzie Noel hit 115 with a 154 slugging percentage and a 45.5% whiff rate against changeups this year. Opponents were hitting 172 against Luke Weaver with a 263 slug, 1 home run, and a 48% whiff rate against the changeup. Guess which pitch he hit out?
The changeup. This sport makes no sense, man. And that's why it's so awesome, right? Like, you can use the numbers, you can play the percentages, you can lean into all of that. Shit just happens. And that's why I love this game. But that was probably the most unexpected home run I've had in a while here. And I said, it was like I'm not a Guardians fan, obviously, but the last time I can remember being that shocked. I know Noel has massive power, but knowing his challenges with changeups, that goes all the way back to when he was a prospect, by the way. And just knowing those challenges, knowing that, Luke Weaver's still been that dude all postseason and really looked like he was in control, right? It was just a one pitch that was even well located to, Lane Thomas, and Thomas just put a good swing on it. It was 3-2. You're not going to walk him. You'd rather make Lane Thomas do that. Like, a solo shot and a walk is the same thing in that position, right? You just don't, it's a tying run coming to the plate. You'd rather make him earn it. So it was a pretty well located fastball. So even after Thomas, put that pitch off the wall, I was like, okay, it was one really good swing by a guy that's been very good this postseason. is Giancarlo Noel off the bench when it's cold out against a changeup guy really going to do that? It was equivalent to me to like that Rajai Davis home run against Aroldis Chapman. I know the stakes weren't quite as high, but it was a season-saving, home run there where Davis, he's choked up. Chapman was looking unstoppable at that point. And it's just like no chance Davis sits it out. Again, I know Noel has way more power, but it was just like a similar matchup situation where I just thought, he's not going yard here. And sure enough, he absolutely goes yard. And it was one of the bigger no doubters too we've seen this postseason. We've seen some complete no doubters. What a moment! And I mean, I already felt like the crowd was out of it at that point too, right? Even the Lane Thomas double, like it didn't feel like they were very excited about that. Like I don't think even they felt like, oh, the tying runs at the plate. It still was like, okay, it's not over yet.
Judge and Stan just sucked the air out of that stadium.
All of the air out. Like I was shocked at the Lane Thomas doubles, and I didn't even really see people like getting up that excited. Like I don't blame them though. Like I really felt like there was no chance.
That pimp job by Giancarlo Noel too.
Yep.
Let's keep going.
Yeah, that only tied it.
Yankees didn't score in the top of the 10th. You know what? It was so funny because I kind of forgot about this in my like rage from everything happening. I was like, did we get picked off again? Like, did I miss it? Because I like went to the bathroom during that commercial break and I came back and it looked like there was no outs but nobody on, and I forgot that there's no extra innings rule with a guy at second, and I was like, that's when I almost wound up and punched a hole through my television. I was like, did we have somebody
just auto picked off?
Yeah,
just give up the ghost runner.
But no, there was no ghost runner, and the Yankees didn't score, but the Guardians did. Bo Naylor singles. Brian Roquillo out on a bunt, moves Naylor to second, small ball. Kwan grounds out, moving him to third. And then David Fry hits one into the night, lights up that Cleveland sky. 7-5. Guardians win. Thankfully, we aren't recording right after the game ended because I have calmed down and I have fully realized that I did just witness one of the best games in a long time. I know it's like since the Pete Alonso home run against the Brewers, but this one felt wilder because it was, the Yankees get the lead. The Guardians grab it back. The Yankees regain the lead off the best closer in Major League Baseball, a guy who's going to get Cy Young votes this year. And on 2 home runs, they didn't just tie it. Judge, then Stanton, and then Giancarlo Noel, and then David Fry. One of the greatest games I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And to be on the wrong side of it.
Good thing they're up 2-0, right? Dude, and I think the stakes make it that much more special too, right? Like,
yes,
this series is over effectively if they don't win that game too. So it's basically an elimination game, and to be able to fight back and do that. Another improbable aspect of this whole thing: Naylor pinch hits. Bo Naylor was 0 for 21, 0 for his last 21 dating back to the regular season, and 0 for 14 in the postseason to this point. Like, it's bad when they start Austin Hedges instead of you. Just because it's like, what's the difference offensively right now? And we know Hedges is better defensively. Hedges doubled, by the way, which is crazy. But for Bo Naylor to start off that 10th with a single, like, let's see if that maybe gets something going for him. But they might just keep rolling with Hedges at this point. But David Fry in that spot as well, right? Clay Holmes coming in like that. That's not an easy matchup for Fry, who's a lefty masher, sub 700 OPS against righties. Almost, I think it was a 996 OPS against lefties in the regular season this year, if I remember that correctly. And that's stark difference. And you're getting a guy running sinkers in on you, didn't run in enough, kind of up in middle of the plate, and Fry absolutely crushes it. Just another, I think, exclamation point to what's been such a special year and story for David Fry. And I'm like, I know you're upset, but I'm very glad that this is a series now because, we're going to talk about the other game and it seems like it's very quickly turning into not a series. So, we'll see how everybody responds from this one. But, I'm just glad that this didn't end up being super lopsided as well because, the Guardians, I started to wonder if the fight was still going to be there. And this is just that same team that has just been gritty and doesn't really relent. And you just can't count these guys out. And the fact that they did it really without their top dog swinging it. J-Ram had one hit. Josh Naylor was 0 for 5. I know he hasn't had a great postseason, but still. And then Thomas, that was his one swing. He did walk twice, but that was his one hit. And Quan was 0 for 4. So, I mean, it was Manzardo, stepping up for the most part. It was Andres Jimenez with a big swing. It was Austin Hedges. It was Will Brennan off the bench with a double, and Bo Naylor off the bench with a hit. Like that's the craziest part. When their backs are against the wall, it's kind of the other guys that end up coming up big.
And I called this team out on, I think it was maybe yesterday's podcast. I don't know. They all blend together because we're always recording at midnight or later. Where I said that the Guardians have to do the little things, which what made them so great. The bullpen, managerial decisions, the bottom of the order, defense, speed. It all came together in this game, except for Emmanuel Clase, which is the funniest part about it. The guy who is the king of the little things. And in terms of like the best play, like Jose Ramirez is the best player. But if we're talking about between the margins when it comes to the bullpen, Clase has been that guy.
And you don't have to think about anything, right? Like that's the easiest part. It's just how early do we put Clase in? It's not like there's not much difficulty with it. It's the best closer in baseball.
But think about it. Stephen Vogt pressed all the right buttons in this one, right? I mean, you're talking about Bo Naylor going over all these different pinch hitters, the bullpen arms that he threw in, it all ended up working. Jackenzie Noel, freaking David freaking Fry.
Every single pinch hitter he deployed picked up a hit.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That's Guardians baseball.
And you got to credit, I think the team to everybody getting themselves ready, staying ready, probably hitting in the tunnel, kind of knowing when they're going to be deployed. So probably preparing for specific types of arms there and things like that. But also you got to credit Stephen Vogt for having that feel where he just knows where to put these guys into the right spots for them to have success. And I mean, it worked today. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen that where you have 4 different pinch hitters and all 4 picked up a hit and 2 went deep. And I mean, that you just don't see that often at all.
Oh, State of the Union address for the Yankees. We're fine. We are. I didn't expect to lose that way, but I did expect to lose. I thought this would be the game that we would drop anyway. So whether they beat us 10-0, whether they beat us 1-0, whether they beat us 7-5 in the bottom of the 10th inning, a loss is a loss in the column. And we're going to preview clearly game 4. Gavin Williams versus Luis Gil, as well as previewing Dodgers versus Mets as well. But for now, Yankees are fine. It was really good to see the fight from them at the end, right? Because there have been a lot of Yankee teams where the score is 3-1 and that means the game is over. So to see them come back against Emmanuel Clase gave me a lot of hope, even if we make it past the Guardians into the World Series, that this Yankees team is never out of it. There was a lot of fight there. The Guardians just fought a little bit harder. And that's just a testament to that team who's been doing that every single day for the entirety of this season and really into the postseason to get to this point. This team just has so much fight. They play together, and in front of that crowd, they can do anything. That's why they were one of the only teams in baseball with 50 wins at home. You get them at Progressive in front of that crowd, and they can do anything. So they're clearly a tough beat at home. Clearly. Yep. And it's going to be tough.
Another. Yeah, they can get tough. Another.
They easily could get another. We'll talk about that game in a bit, but let's get off this game. Let's get off this game. I'm sick of it. Guardians fans, props. I mean, that was awesome. But I'm still not happy about it. Let's talk Padres, or let's talk Dodgers Mets.
All right, let's do it. Because this one was a lot more lopsided and a lot less interesting, but did have some fun offensive side of things. But Yoshinobu Yamamoto versus Jose Quintana. It was quickly the Shohei Ohtani show when he led things off with a solo shot to right field. It was an absolute rocket. 117.8 miles per hour off of the bat. That's the third hardest hit playoff homer of the StatCast era. Of course, the hardest hit one is that home run from Kyle Schwarber, 120 miles per hour off of Yu Darvish. I mean, I don't know if that one will ever be topped. But Quintana settled in after that and retired the next three in order before the Mets answered right back in the home half of the first with a Mark Vientos home run. This guy just continues to be absurd. With that shot, Vientos knocked in his 12th RBI of the postseason, tying John Olerud and Curtis Granderson for the most RBI in a single postseason for the Mets in franchise history. I mean, that is some pretty special stuff. And look, they're not done yet. He has a chance to stand alone with that record. After a scoreless second, the Dodgers got things going again in the third. Ohtani worked out a walk. Then Mookie Betts singled. After Teoscar Hernandez went down swinging, Tommy Edman came up huge with an RBI double. Then Kike Hernandez, of course, drove in Betts with a single, making it 3-1 Dodgers. The Mets answered with a little rally of their own in the home half of the third, started by a pair of Francisco singles. First Alvarez, then Lindor. After Mark Vientos punched out, Pete Alonso worked a walk to load the bases for Brandon Nimmo. Yamamoto was able to induce what appeared to be an ending double play, but after a replay review, it showed that Nimmo had just got his foot in there to beat out the throw to turn the double play, which means that run scored from third to make it 3-2. It was particularly impressive because Nimmo's dealing with some pretty bad plantar fasciitis. We've talked about that on the show a bunch about how painful that is for the players that are dealing with that. And you can tell it is really bothering Nimmo. For him to get down that line and make sure he beats that throw for that run to come in proved huge at the time, but obviously became less important as the Dodgers offense kept doing their thing. Yamamoto was able to preserve the Dodgers lead by getting Starling Marte to ground out and end the inning. The Dodgers kept the pressure on in the fourth with a Chris Taylor single, another Ohtani walk, which ended the day for Jose Quintana and gave way to Jose Butto. Unfortunately for Butto, the first batter that he had to face was Mookie Betts, and Mookie Betts ambushed a 2-0 fastball, driving it to left for a 2 RBI double to make it 5-2. That also closed the book for Quintana's line. The final line was 3 1/3, 5 hits, 5 earned runs, 4 walks, and 2 Ks. Butto and Yamamoto traded zeros in the fifth. Then the Dodgers put their foot right back on the pedal in the sixth. Who other than Mookie Betts blew things open with a 2-run shot, scoring who other than Shohei Ohtani, who, guess what, walked the at-bat before. That makes it 7-2 Dodgers. The Mets had threatened a couple times to make things interesting, especially in the home half of that inning, where they loaded the bases with nobody out. But Evan Phillips struck out Jose Iglesias. Then he got a pinch hitting Jeff McNeil to pop up. And then Blake Trinan came in to face pinch hitter Jesse Winker. And Winker gave it a ride. You thought it might have had a chance for a second to be a grand slam and make it 7-6, but it just ran out of gas right around the track in right field for out number 3. The Dodgers added 3 more for good measure. Tommy Edman, 2 RBI double in the 8th, along with a Will Smith RBI single after that to make it 10-2. And that's how things settled. 10-2 final. The Dodgers pick up another win here. They're 1 game away from the World Series, 1 win away from the World Series, and they lead 3-1 now. And the Mets now in a situation where we don't even really know. We'll talk about that game, but we don't really know who they're going to go to pitching wise and what that's all going to look like. But, they're just going to try to fight to see another day. The challenge, though, is this Dodgers offense, man. This is looking like the Dodgers offense that, everybody feared and everybody talked about, and now is really clicking on all cylinders. I mean, these last 2 games have, scored a combined 20 runs? It's just been crazy.
I mean, this is what makes the Dodgers so dangerous, and this is what probably makes them the favorite to win the entire thing, is because this team has basically been rolling this entire time where Shohei Ohtani, right? I know with runners in scoring position, he's been awesome, but he just snapped his streak, his 0-for streak with nobody on base. Overall, right, he didn't come into this game. The stats haven't been great. Hasn't looked great at the plate. Mookie Betts, same thing, but they just kept winning. Max Muncy, the longest postseason streak of getting on base, snapped at 12, right? Tommy Edman just continues to hit. Max Muncy's got an OPS over 1,100. Kike Hernandez has been excellent, right? So the bottom of the lineup has been great. The bullpen has been great. And we've just been waiting for Ohtani and Mookie to really kick it in gear. And this is what the team looks like when those 2 guys do that.
Yeah.
Mookie goes 4 for 6. His OPS is now up to 964 this postseason. So much for the Mookie Betts.
That's what happens in one big game or two big games, and then all of a sudden you're having a good postseason. That's how easy it is.
I mean, Shohei Ohtani scored 4 runs today. He scored 4 runs. He crossed the plate 4 times. He went 1 for 3. He had a homer, 3 walks. When they're doing that, I mean, Teoscar Hernandez did nothing again. His average is down to 188 and didn't matter. They put up 10.
Well, the huge thing, too, you mentioned Mookie. Like, it's very clear that the Mets want somebody else to beat them other than Shohei Ohtani. But now you're going to put on a guy who stole 50-plus bags, and you're going to put someone at the plate in Mookie Betts, who's one of the best players in Major League Baseball, and now is starting to settle in and look like MVP Mookie Betts. That's what makes this team so tough. They didn't even have Freddie Freeman in the lineup today, right? Like lefty on the mound, give him another day to recoup. We've seen them do that already another time in the postseason, and they try to avoid sometimes the back-to-backs as well with Freeman. So no Freeman in this lineup, who's been swinging it well when he is in the lineup. And just Mookie Betts being that protection. And Ohtani kind of serves for protection for Betts too, because Ohtani's getting on base every single time, essentially, because they don't want to pitch to him. So when he gets on, then Mookie's able to really make them pay. So that duo at the top is already dangerous enough. You get Freeman back in that lineup, you drop Teoscar down or however you want to mix and match it there. That already is looking as dangerous as ever. But then, as you mentioned, like Tommy Edman's been dialed in the last couple games and seems to really be settling in and healthy. And this is a guy that we've seen perform like this over large stretches at the big league level when he is healthy. And then, Kike is going to be Mr. Playoffs and added 2 more hits today. And you mentioned Muncy's outrageous streak. Like, that's 6 hitters right there. We talked about multiple MVPs, but now that you have the length here of these other guys that are the quote unquote role players on this team performing, that's scary. That's very, very scary. And Chris Taylor, even, he got on base twice today. He had a hit. Like, I know that's a very low bar, but this is a guy that was having non-competitive ABs. If he's even putting together some decent ABs all of a sudden, I just don't know how anybody can stop or even slow down this Dodgers lineup right now.
Going over to the Mets side quickly, I'm sure we'll keep bouncing back and forth. I thought early Quintana didn't have it. And you even saw like an interview with Mendoza in the dugout. And he said what we were all seeing. Quintana needs you to chase a little bit. Dodgers weren't chasing. That's a problem for Quintana because then he has to come back in the zone, and you see what a Dodgers offense does against a pitcher like that when he's in the zone. 3 1/3, 5 earned, 5 hits, 4 walks. Just nothing was working for him. I was surprised that he didn't go to the bullpen early. I think we all saw that this start was not going to work against the Dodgers, but he kind of kept him out there. They put up 5, and then the game just felt over. I did feel that the lack of aggressiveness from Carlos Mendoza really bit the Mets in the ass on this one.
Yeah, he seemed to trust Quintana a little bit, probably too much there.
He's been great.
He's been great. Yeah, but this is a Dodgers lineup that if they're looking comfortable, you better try to make them uncomfortable as soon as possible.
ASAP.
And like you said, it seemed like it was too late. But that said, like the Mets had opportunities to put runs on the board and really turn this into a slugfest. I mean, bases loaded, nobody out. You got to convert there. And you could say it's 10-2, but 3 of those runs came in later where I think, the Mets were trying to really preserve their pen to try to give it their best shot, next time out. But 7-2, you leave the bases loaded. And then I think the next inning, they leave 2 stranded after that as well. I mean, they had chances to get themselves back into this and just couldn't execute offensively either. A big part of that has to be credit to Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who I know only went 4 1/3, but 8 strikeouts, 16 whiffs. And I mean, only the 2 earned runs, only 1 walk. He looks like he's getting back to where he was, right? And we talked about just after months of not throwing, a shoulder issue, getting his feet back under him. It seems like over the last couple starts now, he's starting to get back into his form. And that's really scary. If they make it to the World Series, like that's a huge addition. You just talked about Walker Buehler looking like Walker Buehler last time out. Like, the offense is coming together. The staff is coming together now too. And you always know the bullpen's going to be there. So I thought this start from Yamamoto was invigorating for the Dodgers, especially on the heels of Walker Buehler's best start since probably coming off of the IL from his Tommy John surgery.
And then the start before that, Flaherty goes 7 shutty.
Yep.
I mean, of course, they had a bullpen game in the middle of that, and that's where the Mets got their win. But among games where the Dodgers have had their starters in, what's the average margin of victory here? I mean, they won. What did they win the first game? 8-0?
The last one was 8-0, and this one's 10-2. So they're averaging eight run difference here in the last two games.
And then the game 3, right? Because they've played 4 games at this point. Yep. They won 9-0, 8-0. I don't know. But regardless, like the Mets have scored 9 runs in the series. The Dodgers scored 10 tonight.
Yeah. It was 9-0, 8-0, and now 10-2 in their 3 victories.
And the Mets won by 4 in their victory. And it is so funny too, because teams have been bouncing back in the playoffs so far. I think I saw this correctly, and I might be misquoting. It's 12:30 at night. 8-1 after losing by 7 runs or more in the playoffs. I think that one loss was the Mets loss when they weren't able to replicate that. Crazy stat that these teams are bouncing back. So hypothetically speaking, just because that this victory was so large, right? A loss is a loss. These guys are all professionals. I fully expect the Mets to bounce back, led again by Mark Vientos, who went 2 for 5 with another home run. He got that run off Yamamoto in the first inning. He has been so good offensively. Lindor had another good day. Brandon Nimmo had a good day at the plate. Like, this Mets team is not out of it. It's just you go down early and then it can just spiral like that. But I still think the Mets are in it. I'm not willing to say that the series is over when I've seen the Mets come and fight so many times, already winning a game after getting blown out in LA. I think they're going to bounce back here, and I think they're going to put up a good showing.
Well, and I think in their minds, they're thinking, okay, you just got to win one, and then you can get the ball to Sean Manaea.
Yep.
And if you get the ball to Sean Manaea, you feel really good about that one, and then it's game 7. So I know that's still a lot, but I think that's how you got to look at it. And I think they feel like if they can get the ball to Manaea, they got a chance. And it's really just about winning that next game. And if you focus in on that one, all of a sudden you got the advantage in game 6 again. So that's, I think, the best, motivator for them. But Pete Alonso's got to get going a little bit more if they're going to win these ball games. Because JD Martinez, I don't know why he is in the lineup. I'll be honest. I know he got on base twice with walks today. He looks slow, man. He doesn't look like he is feeling great out there. He talked about it at points during the year that he's just like not recovering as quickly. It seems like he's starting to look like a player who is on his last legs at 37 years old. I understand sometimes matchups are better and everything. I'd rather see Jesse Winker out there. I'm very surprised. And I know that they like to go with them in the right spots and things like that. Winker put a good swing on the ball today. I don't know why Winker's not in that DH spot instead of JD Martinez. Even when Martinez is spoiling pitches and everything, he just looks slow and late. He's cheating to try to catch up, and then he's spinning off of stuff. Like, I just don't think that's a guy that should be getting ABs and hitting 6th for you. Like, you've got a guy that's been swinging it really well since he's come over to Queens and Jesse Winker, and I'd just rather those ABs go there.
I'd be shocked if Winker isn't in the lineup against Flaherty. Shocked. I think it's going to be Winker back in this lineup because I agree with you. And I assume Mendoza can see it too. All Mets fans can see it. Like, this guy, he's given, a lot of teams a lot of big hits in the past, and he's still, the definition of a professional hitter. But at this point in his career, at least at this time right now, he doesn't look like the option that can put them over the top. I think they're waiting for the big hit. When Fink was on, he was excited, right? JD Martinez is going to get his first start, feel like a big hit is going to come for him. Just hasn't. It's been a lot of blanks, which you just can't have in the postseason, especially when his replacement has provided the Mets a bunch of big hits already this season.
Yeah, I think you need that Winker spark, and I'm with you. I expect to see him in the lineup. I love JD. I mean, South Florida guy. He's a legend down there. He's had an incredible career, and maybe he gives it another go next year and feels a little bit better. Remember, he got a late start to this one, but I just don't see it right now, and I don't think he's their best option lineup wise. And that lineup can kind of drop off kind of quick on the back end, and I think JD's kind of a part of that. So I think Winker is your best foot forward going into the next ball game.
All right, let's talk about those next ball games. But before that, a quick break. All right, we'll stick on Dodgers Mets because it is the first game of the day, 5:08 p.m. Eastern, Citi Field. between Jack Flaherty and David Peterson. So Peterson did face the Dodgers back on May 29th, going 5 innings and 3 earned runs. And he has faced them over his career 72 plate appearances. Aram, the Dodgers have a 343 batting average against him with a 419 xWOBA and a 620 expected slug. Now, a lot of those stats are older. Right? He's only faced them once this season. This was kind of his breakout year. But it's the Dodgers going up against Flaherty. And Flaherty already flashed what he can do against this Mets offense. And he's faced them even before this. 93 plate appearances against this current Mets roster. They're only hitting 209 against him with a 327 xWOBA. So not ideal, but manageable. And the Mets have proven that even when the starting pitching matchup may not lean in their favor, they can still win ball games. And I'm not just talking about this series. I'm talking about past series, because in this series, that statement isn't true. They've only won the bullpen game. Yep. What's your read here?
I mean, they've got their bullpen for the most part ready to go. And I think that's a big reason why, like, the teams that have gotten blown out have come back and won, is like they waved the white flag earlier now. And, you know, they'll throw kind of the bottom of the barrel arms in that bullpen and save all of their guys, you know, for the next game to try to survive and see another day. I mean, you've got a well-rested Edwin Diaz now. You didn't have to use pretty much any of your guys aside from Budo, and even Budo hasn't been one of their like key guys. I mean, you're going to have Diaz available for multiple innings. You're going to have Reed Garrett available, who, you know, is now going to have a day's rest as well after throwing 20 pitches. You got Stanek on multiple days. So, like, I mean, they've got their best arms, and I think it's going to be all hands on deck. I think you're going to see Edwin go multiple innings. They might even bring him in, you know, in the 5th or 6th, if it's that, you know, meat of the Dodgers order. Like, I think that's going to give them a shot. The desperation is going to make it hard on the Dodgers, but I just don't know if anybody can even an Edwin, even having all of your best arms available. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to slow down this Dodgers lineup right now. And someone's going to need to get them through the first 4 or 5 innings. Is that a Kodai Senga? I don't think he should throw again this series.
It is Peterson. It
is Peterson for sure.
Yeah, it's Peterson for sure. Mendoza came out and announced that.
Like, yeah. I mean, I don't feel great about David Peterson. I mean, I think it's tough.
It's also kind of a lot to ask. Just real quick, it's kind of a lot to ask for him. He's been operating out of the bullpen the entire playoffs. He hasn't had a playoff start yet, has he?
Start. Let me check. But like even so, he's got to go 4 for you at least. And then how are you getting through the rest of this ball game? Like, you're still gonna have to put in some guys that I don't know if I entirely trust. It's a very tough spot in general. The other thing is that Peterson's velo was down a little bit last time out compared to where he was at the first couple starts of their first couple outings of the postseason. So just something to kind of monitor as well. I mean, he battled, but 2 1/3 of 3 runs, 2 earned run ball, which is what he did last time out there. Like, I don't think you can win a ball game like that, especially when the opposite is going to be a starter that's going to have a lot more length. Like, what do you need from Peterson to have a chance? It's probably going to be 4 innings of 2-run ball. It's possible, but I think it's going to take some batted ball luck and some really good execution from Peterson to make that happen. I think it's going to be really hard for the Mets to pull this one out.
So you got the Dodgers winning.
I got the Dodgers just rolling.
Wow, and 5.
I hope not, but I think they roll.
I'm going to give the Mets this one. I think they push it to the Manaea start. And the Mets just have fight. And they've been so good at home, especially in September. This team has rallied to the occasion in front of that home crowd. And I know the numbers don't support them. They're right in front of me. It's a daunting task. Flaherty just threw 7 shutty.
They did have 10 hits today, though.
Yeah, Peterson doesn't have great numbers against the Dodgers. The bullpen, you're right, Arm. Right? We could say, well, they have Diaz, they have Stanek, they have these guys, but the Dodgers have Ohtani and Mookie and Freddie and Muncy and Will Smith and Teoscar and Edman, and we can just keep going.
And Kopech is very rested. He's only thrown like 12 pitches in the last 5 days.
And you know, he's going to, in an elimination game, he might touch 108. I mean, he is going to be blowing fuel. And they still got Treinen. Evan Phillips was able to work out of that jam. This Dodgers bullpen is just unconscious. It's so good. And I stand by what I said. Trinan is, I mean, I would still take Class A. I know we're prisoners of the moment, but I think Trinan's the second best reliever in the playoffs. Cade Smith definitely has an argument. People have been sending me Cade Smith stats ever since I said that yesterday on the podcast. I've got like 7 DMs. Well, what about this? I know the numbers, people. Like, I watch the same game you do. I would take Trinan. We're seeing what that turbo sinker and sweeper can do. But yeah, I'll give the Mets. I mean, I'm not confident.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
Yeah, please let me be right so we keep watching this series. Yeah. I mean, these are two incredibly fun teams. I'm going to go with the Mets here. All right, let's talk Yankees Guardians.
Yeah, this is one that I think is really up for grabs. Like, I have no idea.
Oh, it's completely, and I'm very, very worried. Now, Gavin Williams has faced the Yankees this year. Pitched okay, 4 innings, 3 earned. Luis Heel faced the Guardians, 3 innings, 3 earned, 6 walks. It was one of those Luis Heel starts that we talk about, Harm, where he just had no idea where the ball was going all day.
Yeah.
He hasn't made a start in 3 weeks. Neither has Gavin Williams. And everybody used all of the bullpen arms yesterday. This game is the Detroit Tigers. It's not even the Guardians of the Yankees. It's just going to be chaos. This really, I think, this is Boone versus Vogt. Who's going to press the right buttons? Who's going to put in the right pinch hitters? Who's going to put in the right bullpen arm in the right situation? This feels like a game where the team that wins on the margin is going to win. Now, who does that team sound like? The Guardians. We're going to lose.
I mean, the starting pitching matchup side of it is fascinating because you mentioned like 2 guys that we really haven't seen throw. And I don't know why the Guardians haven't, utilized Gavin Williams a little bit more. I know that he hasn't looked the best through the regular season, and he missed some time with injury and just kind of was fighting himself at points throughout the year, but finished the season pretty well. And I had 3 solid starts down the stretch against the Rays, the Twins, and the Cardinals, but we end up just not really seeing him throw it all in this postseason. Like, what is there to expect from a guy that legitimately has not thrown? He has not thrown since September 22nd. So it's almost been a month since this guy has thrown. Like, is that going to work in his favor, given that he was banged up to start the year, or is he going to have some rust? I'm sure he's been throwing, on the side and throwing plenty of bullpens, but like, who does that affect more? Because how long have you said it's been not much shorter for Luis Heel, right? He hasn't thrown since the 28th.
Yeah, his last start was September 28th. Yeah,
he got bombed. 4 homers against the Pirates in that one. So I feel like if you're comparing, Gavin Williams throws strikes for the most part. Luis Heel does not when he's not right.
That was kind of funny. Like, that's what we're recapping, right? Or that's what we're previewing. Like, this starting pitching matchup, game 4 of the ALCS. A guy who hasn't pitched in 3 weeks and is a walk machine versus the other guy who's getting bombed, but at least he throws strikes. I mean,
it's crazy. Like, Luis Heel, you would know better than me, but I don't even know if you have an instance of seeing this. Like, a guy that has command issues. How is he going to look after not throwing in a game setting for 3 weeks and having a ton of adrenaline? Like,
I think you know the answer to that question.
It's not going to be good. He might not throw strikes.
Oh yeah, it's not going to be good. Why do I think that it's going to be good? He's going to be throwing 100 miles an hour, 5 feet above the batter's box. Yeah, like, he's going to be sailing balls that are so fast. He's going to be so nasty, and it's going to be nowhere near the plate. But it's going to be disgusting, though. But that doesn't matter. Yeah. Gavin Williams is going to allow a home run to Juan Soto. He's going to give up runs. So this game is going to be 4-4 by the 4th inning. And then
it's bullpen battle.
Then it's the home team has the advantage because you'd still give them the bullpen advantage, I guess. I mean, the Yankees bullpen has been great. I mean, as soon as Clay Holmes gets put into leverage, as soon as it happens, I mean, it's like,
it's incredible.
Some guys are hold appreciators. Clay Holmes, welcome to the Andrew Kittredge Club. That's what we are right now.
I mean, Weaver, you're not worried about Weaver, right?
Not at all.
It's one pitch. It was one pitch.
To a guy who can't hit changeups. He threw a changeup he clipped it. Good for you. Weaver's still the man. Canley's the man.
I agree. So that's the big part. But this series needed a pitching matchup like this where we're going to get some things going early, have some fun early. But I'm with you. Like it really, I think more of the pressure is on Vogt because a lot of these bats are kind of interchangeable in ways. It's like, what's the lineup going to look like? The Yankees, for the most part, like, you know what that lineup's going to look like, give or take one or two guys in certain spots. The Guardians, like, there's a lot more of like, okay, even if this guy's starting, like, do I let him hit twice? Do I let him hit 3 times? Like, there's guys that are starting that know they're getting pinch hit for by the 5th or 6th inning. So which direction do you go? Who do you deploy in this matchup against Luis Gil? I'm really fascinated to see that. But what I think is absolutely huge is the fact that Kyle Manzardo had a 2-hit day and that home run. Like, we know how talented he is of a bat, but to have him going a little bit with the struggles that Naylor has had for the most part, with the struggles that both Naylors have had for the most part, like, it's absolutely huge to have his bat with the power potential that he has, in the fold as well. And then having him and Fry combining their to potentially be a pretty devastating platoon deployed in the right spots. Like that can be really fun. And I do think it's advantage Guardians in this one. I do. I think it's sliver. And I just think with the bullpen, it's very close. But I am very worried that, like, Luis Gil, the thing is, if Gavin Williams doesn't have his stuff all the way, I have more confidence in Gavin Williams giving me 4. Then, like, there's a chance Luis Gil could just not find the zone. You can't battle through that. Like, you can't turn in 3-4 innings. Of course, we're saying this. Both guys are going to shove. Like, both guys are going to go 6 shutty. But, like, I have more faith in Gavin Williams backing into 4 innings or 5 innings, most probably 4, than Luis Gil, if we're assuming that both are rusty. Obviously, if Luis Gil is on, like, it's a different beast.
Let me play a little devil's advocate, because if Luis Gil is in the zone and his stuff ticks up because his arm is fresh, it's over. He is going to dominate, because that's why Luis Gil has had such a good year, because when he's on, when he's in the zone, he is electric. But if he has 6 walks, like he did against the Guardians last time, the game is over. So that's the thing with Gavin Williams. Like, Gavin Williams, to your point, he's going to throw strikes. He's going to give up a couple runs. He's going to hand it off to the bullpen. Gil could legitimately lose the Yankees the game so early, or he could win them the game. That, like, there is a lot of upside on the Yankees side, but I do feel like what's the most likely scenario is that Luis Gil doesn't have it. Gavin Williams doesn't have it. Maybe they do exactly the same from a run production standpoint. Like, they both give up 3. Luis Gil does it by walking 11. Gavin Williams does it by giving up 3 solo home runs. Like, I don't know how it's going to happen, and then bullpen, Guardians advantage on the margins, Guardians advantage, home team, Guardians advantage. That's why I think they win, and they're my pick.
I think Gil has the Yankees have the upside, right? Where, like, I just think there's a way higher chance of, like you said, a Luis Gil being dialed in. So, like, we'll know kind of quickly there where I think who has the advantage. But it's a little bit of like a safer, I think, situation with the Guardians and having that edge with the bullpen slightly being the home team, and then having a starter that, I do feel like has a good chance of giving you 4. Like, I'm looking at his last start against the Yankees, and I think he can do. He's going to do something similar to that, which was 4 1/3, 3 runs. If he gives you 4 1/3, 3 runs, you would think that the Yankees are in the driver's seat. That's if Luis Gil isn't also giving up 3 runs, like you said. So, like, it's going to be really interesting. I think more volatility on the Yankees side by having one of the more volatile starters in the game going for you. But volatility can yield positive results as well, right? You're going to have a lot of upside. You're going to have a lot of risk. And I could see it going any which way. I have no idea, because Luis Gil is so wonderfully unpredictable. But that's why I think this has the potential to be a beautiful sequel to what we just had in this last ball game.
So your final picks, you got Dodgers and Guardians?
I got Dodgers Guardians.
Okay, I got Mets Guardians, so I'm going with both dogs. Hungry dogs run faster. They're barking arm. I hope I'm wrong about I hope we're both wrong about the Yankees Guardians or the Yankees win. Please, just for my mental health. It would be very, very helpful.
Oh, I would love 2-2 back to New York soon too. Oh, it would be great.
The people would be like, well, Peter, you go to the game? No, I can't. No, I want to. We'll see. But hopefully everybody enjoyed it, and hopefully everybody has a great weekend. Of course, we'll be back on Monday to recap the weekend that was here on the Just Baseball Show. And if you've been enjoying all of this content, the late night records, tons of analysis, all given to you, all we ask, 5-star review, whether it be on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. The best way to support, as well as hitting that subscribe button on YouTube and liking this video as well. Go get your Just Baseball merch. You can find it in the episode description. Of course, I'm rocking my hat. Code JB15 for 15% off. You got something before we go?
I had a question.
Yeah, what's up?
Is the way we just previewed this, and this might be risky. Do I put my MGM bonus bet on the over in this Guardians Yankees game? It's 7.5. It's 7.5 on MGM.
I'll look into that one. Off the top of my head,
I will tweet it. If people want to just know, because again, I will never wager this much money on anything. So if people want to know what I'm doing, I will definitely I will put it out on Twitter if we decide this. But just know it's being considered as we get ready to go to bed. But let me know what you think, Pete, because that one's talking to me a little bit. That is talking to me a little bit.
I'll put on the lab coat, get my stethoscope out, and we'll hop in the lab in the morning and we'll come up with a good one. So again, hopefully everybody enjoyed. Links, as you know, code Just Baseball and BetMGM. You want to get into that bullpen jackpot, I highly recommend. It's so much fun. Arm can definitely attest to that.
Remember, $10 on it. I just put $10 and pray it gets hit into a bullpen. It's pretty fun.
And code Just Baseball on Game Time as well. For Arm Lane, I'm Peter Apple. Have a great weekend. And with that, thank you, everybody.